Good morning, good afternoon and good evening, and welcome to the Saturday vlog. You join me here at the new chicane of death at Wilton Mill kart circuit for round number 3 of SP40 and SP60 on a delightful little walk around the circuit to have a little bit think about what's happening this weekend. We'll try and avoid the technical difficulties of GYG and actually get all the races recorded today, rather than me being a complete idiot and spanner and numpty of all types, and managing to only record me putting the camera on the cart and then nothing else. So anything more than that will be a great success. Now, Wilton Mill is going to be one of those weekends which very similar to Buckmore Park, not in terms of circuit, the circuits couldn't be more different, but lots of people have lots of track time at Wilton Mill, which makes everyone very, very close together. There's more experience on the grid, and as a result people tend to be more competitive here than at Buckmore Park. Not saying they're not competitive normally, but it's definitely a lot closer over the course of the weekend. Yeah, everyone feels like they have a good shot at Wilton Mill, which would be good. Makes it more interesting than maybe some of the circuits that people spend less time at or aren't on the calendar that often, or possibly people haven't been to at all, and you get a bit of a wider field spread. Although wider field spreads are interesting when it comes to lap traffic, you sort of experience that a little bit more, and that brings a whole different aspect to, I don't want to call it endurance racing, it's not really endurance racing, sprint duro racing. But yeah, what can we say about Wilton Mill? Well, Wilton Mill certainly changed over the years since I started racing a long time ago, when I was but a wee young whippersnapper. I can still remember when the curbs were blue and white rather than red and white, but apart from the colour of the curbs, not a lot has changed really for Club 100, and well, for mine and Club 100 days anyway, other than the new chicane, the chicane of doom. It's not that scary. To be fair, it's better than the old last corner in terms of safety. I think, although people do have a tendency to launch themselves near the driver stuff, we don't really have access to that because they'll put cones and tyres and things in the way to stop us from using that much of the curb. But I still think that a larger radius corner, even though it'd be faster, would have been safer and kept the flow of the circuit a bit more. But is what it is. It's not the easiest of circuits to defend on. Not saying that it's super hard, but there's lots of opportunities to overtake. You can get swallowed up if you end up putting yourself slightly in the wrong place, and you can also lose a lot of time if you defend a little bit too much, which you don't really want to do. Even though the races are a bit longer, if you can get your head down and try and pull away and give yourself the opportunity to be maybe a group of a few karts, that's much more preferable than being in a train of sort of 10-15 karts, as you can see around here, and it can happen in Club 100 as well. So yeah, better to try and get your head down, get away, and be overtaken by one person than be overtaken by 9 or 10. Now, you might not be able to see it on the camera, maybe if I turn it this way a little bit, but there is a reasonable hill at Wilton Mill. You have a fair climb on the way up towards Christmas Corner at the top of the hill behind us now, and that means that you can brake really quite late going into it, because you've got gravity and physics and all that good stuff helping you get around the corner. At the start of the race as well, you can actually do quite a good job of getting around the outside of it and maintaining a fair bit of speed, which can be good if you're starting further towards the back. Hopefully that's not going to be the case for us today. We'll be starting closer towards the front, but bit of exhaust something in the middle there. Just put that there. Yeah, hopefully we're not starting towards the back and we're starting towards the front, but if we end up being towards the back, possibly going around the outside of Christmas Corner here, could be a decent play. But yeah, like I said, I'm not sure if the camera will really do it justice, but that then means that as you come back down the hill towards Ashby, towards Osiers a couple of corners later, you then have the opposite effect where braking zones get lengthened. It can be very easy for the kart to get squirrely under braking, and yeah, in the sprints last year, I was at the receiving end, not the full receiving end, and I was at the full receiving end of someone getting it a bit wrong, going into Ashby, hitting me or loading me up, and then sending me into the side of Anwar, which didn't do his race all that much good. I really wish we were doing 2 rounds at Wilton again this year, partly because it would mean that we'd have the opportunity to run the full layout, and then also the shortened national layout as well, where as we come up to this corner, Inkermans, rather than taking it as a fast flick to the right, it becomes a hairpin, and then you come back down through the middle of the circuit through the Zulus, which we'll do now. Why not? Let's go down through the Zulus, and then yeah, it makes it a bit more of an interesting circuit. It takes away a couple of overtaking opportunities, granted, although you do get one at Inkermans. But in the Club 100 machinery, as you come down through Zulu, there's just enough power to mean that you can't just make it an easy set of corners. But there's a lot of time to be gained in terms of how you set yourself up through it. Again, Club 100 karts, they're good bits of machinery, but they are also heavy, and that means that positioning the kart well on the circuit is really, really important, because they're not going to be quite as compliant as an owner-drive kart would be, which would be significantly lighter. Not just significantly lighter because I'm a fat bastard, but the kart itself is just built up more, designed to be manhandled by many a person. So yeah, shame we're not doing both layouts this year, but who knows, maybe next year we'll get that opportunity. So aims for today. Wilton Mill being a circuit that I know well, it's very, very difficult to not set quite lofty goals, and that's not to say that I think they're unrealistic, but as I've already said, lots of people are very quick at Wilton Mill, which makes it all the more difficult, even if I've had plenty of laps around here myself, which must be in the thousands, if not possibly approaching the tens of thousands. For me, in the SP40, I think a podium is something that I definitely want to try and achieve, and I think in the SP60 a top 4, I think, would be good. Top 5 acceptable, but definitely top 4 and podium if possible. That's what we're going for today. It'll be tricky if qualifying doesn't go quite my way, then that could pose a problem, allowing you guys at the front to be able to get away, and with more karts between me and them, who quite possibly are nice and speedy themselves, that could be a problem. So hopefully a decent qualifying gets that problem out of the way. But hey, I'll tell you what, if things don't go to plan, we can always come over to the little circuit at Wilton Mill and be mercilessly overtaken by some 8-year-olds at a birthday party. So yeah, well, there's always plan B. So step number 1 done. That's qualifying for the SP40 finished, and we're on pole. Go me. Woo. So yeah, good kart, to be fair. The motor felt really good. It took a couple of laps for the tyres to come on, but once they did, grip was nice. You can definitely notice the extra bit of power that the karts have this year compared to last year around here, with that slightly different restrictor, or the more open restrictor. So some of the corners now made a little bit more tricky, but yeah, it felt good. As I say, good motor, so we'll wait and see what happens in the race, but hopefully it's a sign of things to come, and yeah, we'll see how race 1 goes. Hopefully just as well as qualifying. Let's have a look. Not the best race 1. The kart I didn't know, I wanted to change it on the rolling map. It just kept wanting to pull left, which obviously isn't ideal when you've got a kart that's wanting to pull left, so it's trying to lift the inside, or trying to lift her rear left wheel. So coming out the last corner, going through turn 2 crook, just the balance in the car was horrible. And the annoying thing is, even though the motor was kind of average, going through Christmas and down through Ashmore, I was quicker than Kurt and Anwar, and then just the more technical parts of the lap where the balance of the car would be more important, just kind of fell off, and so that was that. And then Anwar went for a move into Christmas, didn't think it was fair, so he kind of like backed off, but I'd already tried to go carry my momentum round him and ended up sort of getting screwed over from that. And then a couple more people came past and managed to get a couple of positions back at the end, either through on the track or through a penalty, but yeah, could have been a lot better. But yeah, 5th in race 1, which is fine, and 4th quickest, which surprised me because I thought that was going to be not good news for race number 2, where your grid position is based off of your lap time. So to be 4th quickest in a kart that didn't handle nicely at all, that's a positive. So going into race 2, starting 4th, we'll see if we can go on better. So that's race 2 of SP40 done and dusted, and I think in the end 4th was about as good as I was going to get done. Sort of fell off during the middle of the race and maybe could have not given up quite as much as we were going through yellow flags, but at the end of the day it's more important to keep the guys on track safe than it is maximising every bit of lap time through a yellow flag area, or yellow flag zone. So yeah, 4th in the end, and because of the 5th in race 1, which possibly could have been the 3rd or maybe even better, had things gone differently, ends up being 4th overall. So didn't quite make the goal of a podium in SP40, but 1 position off. It's not the end of the world, and plenty more rounds to go. Try and be a bit more consistently in that top 3 once all is said and done. But we move on to SP60. Hopefully I can have a qualifying performance that mirrors that of SP40 and put it on pole, but we'll see how we go. Yeah, try and match our target that we set at the start of the day for that. So yeah, P4 or better. So we'll see how we get on. And yeah, SP60 race 1 coming up next. So qualifying for SP60, not as good as SP40, only managed 2nd this time, so no joking. Yeah, happy with that. It was a difficult session, very caught up in traffic, and absolutely had more on the table. Not sure we've had enough to topple Anwar, but definitely had some more on the table in that session. So field spread at the front seems relatively tight, although Anwar was a good few attempts clear. And the back of the grid, I think traffic is going to be massive. in this first race, or in both races. But I think, who can negotiate the traffic better, I think is going to want to be the people that come out on top for this one. It's going to be very, very important. Not that it's not important all the time, but especially today. Okay, so race number one was second by the skin of my teeth. Anwar just drove away, disappeared off to Narnia. But there must have been like a bit of a coming together, or some serious defending happening behind in the first lap or two. Because quite a big gap developed between me and whoever was in third. And then, yeah, like, that gap just kept coming down. Ryan was just breaking it down. I don't really feel like I made loads of mistakes. I made a couple here and there, but yeah, it was just one of those where I had to have a bit of luck, and in a way, like, it's a shame to end it in such a way, but trying to go up the inside of back marker, and then as we were going sort of side by side on the next bit, just got forced wide, and Ryan had gone to the right hand side of me, and he's got completely put on the grass. So from that point, he dropped back again, and it gave the buffer needed for second. But not the way I'd like to get second, but I suppose I'll take them any way they can come. So that'll be second place starting race number 2. So see how it goes. So back in the van on the way away from the circuit, and maybe not a great success, but definitely a success nonetheless. SP40, 4th overall in the end. We needed race 1 to go better. Unfortunately, you won't be able to see, or you won't have seen race 1 because the camera and battery decided to do all sorts of funny things. But hopefully that's now sorted with some duct tape. All things are fixed by duct tape, as well we know. So yeah, 4th overall in that, possibly could have been a podium, but it's what it is. And then SP60, we come away with some tin, which is very nice. 3rd overall in the end, not 2nd. It wasn't going to be 1st, Anwar just drove away in both races. But yeah, 2nd in race 1, 3rd in race 2. Ryan had the opposite, but he ended up putting in a lap that was faster than mine by 2/100ths of a second. So if I'd have been 21 thousandths quicker, I'd have got 2nd place overall. But it's not the end of the world. We don't really change in overall points because we ended up with the same amount. It just came down to fastest lap. So nothing changing in the grand scheme of things. Just I come away with a smaller trophy. Tomorrow's going to be interesting. New boots on the karts for the sprints by the looks of it, and the day changed quite a bit towards the end of the SP60. It went from being quite overcast and cool to not overcast at all and warm. So we'll see if that does anything to the circuit between now and tomorrow morning with the test going on as well. A bit more rubber being laid down. Interesting differences brought in there with the slight changes to the Club 100 karts. So the different tyres and the slightly more open restrictor, giving more power and similar levels of grip, but definitely a different handling profile to the car. Yeah, it made you have to adapt how you were driving. You couldn't just turn up and drive it how you did last year, which is good. It makes you think. And if you did not adapt, then you would not be successful, which I lived, which is good. So, in the end, on the podium for one, not on the other, just the other way round from what I sort of said would be the aims for the weekend. So we move on to Rissington next time, which will be good fun. Very open circuit, and I think the extra bit of power will help around there for sure. So until next time, thank you very much for watching, and as always,